My name is Chris Barr, and I'm a participant in the Lab Rats program at Unite to Fight Paralysis. The labs I've participated in were feedback sessions for both FDA and DoD, and in both cases, I absolutely felt that by sharing my lived experience, I added value by helping them identify and prioritize research. At the end of the day, U2FP is all about connecting the dots in research advocacy. And the Lab Rats program is a perfect example. It's smart and effective, and I hope you'll help keep it going. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I have a C7 spinal cord injury sustained in 2019. Prior to injury, I worked as a scientist for 20 plus years in the biotech industry here in Southern California. Ever since my injury, I have been really looking to the science to help figure out a way to improve my condition. I was lucky enough to find Unite to Fight Paralysis Lab Rats program where I immediately became involved. I figured out how to get placed into the lab of Dr. Candace Floyd that I was very interested in because she is doing research on how to build a pig model of epidural spinal cord stimulation. I'm currently part-time employed by the lab now, utilizing my previous experience as a scientist to gain a position, helping her to write grants and also to drive the direction of her experiments. I think this is especially important because as she works on developing a model of epidural spinal cord stimulation, I can help with this a lot because I have an implanted spinal cord stimulator that I'm using in addition to activity-based therapy to try and improve my functional outcomes. Prior to my expertise with the lab, prior to helping her design this experiment, there was no physical therapist or activity-based therapist assigned to this project to help her develop the activities that the pigs would be doing. Myself and my activity-based trainer, who's been in the industry for more than 30 years, are helping her design functional experiments to measure volitional movement in the pigs that will most closely resemble the human experience, the human being me. For example, the pigs will be trained to do treadmill training, so regaining the ability to take steps, doing a sit to stand, and pressing a lever to get a treat. All these things we are trying to correlate directly to the parameters that allow me to do the same activities with my epidural spinal cord stimulation. This program has been a lifesaver for me. It's allowed me to contribute not only to my own recovery, but also to help drive the science in a way that is most relevant to what we as a community need. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jake Chalfin, and I was injured in a sporting accident and paralyzed in 2010. And at the time, I was sort of given the impression that the curative treatments were not that far off, and the science wasn't too terribly complicated, and I should expect some form of cure in my immediate future, 5 to 10 years. And since then, I've gotten involved with Unite to Fight Paralysis and have learned a lot more and found that there was more questions than answers. And at some point, Matthew Roderick came up with the concept of putting people with lived experience into the research laboratory world and having the community, the spinal cord injured community, provide real world context to the scientists trying to figure out the answers to curative treatments. I started working with Michael Lane in the Lane Lab at Drexel University about 5 years ago, and it was challenging at first to understand the industry jargon and the science, but over time it started to sink in and I started to form a clearer picture. I learned a lot about the process of science, the different experiments that were being done, the complications. It was both frustrating to recognize how complicated problem is, but also rewarding, learning that there is a methodical way to approach this, and I believe we have some really smart people working on it, and there's some really good programs out there and some science out there that we're building on. So I'm optimistic for that. I also would find that the researchers, that whether they're postdocs or graduate students, really were motivated by seeing, interacting with people with a spinal cord injury. So kind of giving them context and value to the work that they were doing, connecting their preclinical work with somebody in the world that could potentially benefit from what they're working on, which is, I think, really important. So for me, the lab rat experience has been both positive for myself, but also positive for the researchers conducting the work. And the relationship of having somebody with a lived experience in the lab is priceless, and it's a great program.
Hi, my name is Nancy Nicholas, and I'm the SCI Community Liaison at the Blackmore Lab at Marquette University. My presence in the lab has three main benefits. Firstly, I provide a personal connection to those of us living with SCI. They're not just doing research for knowledge's sake, they're actually seeing the people that they're trying to help. Secondly, I provide perspective from the community with regard to priorities for research, as well as the acceptability of various treatment options. And then thirdly, I provide input with regard to experimental design and how to more closely mimic the qualities that are most important to those of us living with spinal cord injury.